Your introduction is costing you money. Your introduction is costing you money. Because here's what happens. It's fake, it's confusing, or it's just boring. So now, instead of wanting to learn more, they're walking away. Instead of trying to understand where they can either work with you, support you, collaborate, that's like, wait, what do you do again? Or instead of saying, hey, I know just the person you want to talk to, I got to introduce you to them. They're changing the subject. So now your brilliant idea is just a brilliant idea. What I've discovered time and time again, and this is why I created New Skills, New You, because I believe one new skill will change your life. And so when I run around telling people like, hey, I'm Bruce, I make sales simple, it's not about being the killer closer. It's not about being a master manipulator. It's about clarity. Clarity closes deals. So you can be yourself, your authentic self, and just hear yes more often. And it starts with your introduction. Over the course years ago, so one of my least favorites, but it seems to be the best received because it gets people results. And it's called turning conversations into clients. But what I didn't realize, I skipped a step. Where do those conversations come from? Where do we get a conversation that could possibly turn into a client? It comes from your introduction. It comes from your introduction. So when you have an introduction that's clear, it's concise and confident, now people want to hear more. Now they get it. And so even though they may not be the ideal client, they may not be your customer avatar, whatever marketing term you want to use, they're like, wait, that makes sense. I get it. I was at a startup incubator. They're having an event. We were saying hi to everyone afterwards, introducing ourselves. And they said, hey, what do you do? Are you a founder? I said, hey, no. I help founders make sales simple. And you saw their eyes get big. They're like, really? I need that. Can you help me? So I said, let's talk. Why do you think you need help? And so a week later, there was a new client. Off the introduction, I had lunch with a friend yesterday. And he said, well, who do you help the most? And I said, well, I really enjoy working with startup founders. Someone that has an MVP, maybe they even have a client or two, or at least some beta testers, and they're looking to grow, they're looking to scale. Love working with them. He said, oh, I need to introduce you to someone. And that's when we know you have a strong introduction. That's when your introduction makes you money. That's where we're trying to get to. So here's what your introduction needs to have. It's 5 ingredients to help your introduction create conversations. Because remember, conversations create clients. So teach a whole workshop on this. So if you're like, man, I need more, don't worry. I got you. But I do want to give you enough to get started so you can put it into practice today. I want to give you enough to help you today so that you can make some money today. You can have some introductions today. So first things first, your name's not important. You don't need titles, where you went to school. Listen, all you do is how you want them to address you. So if it's Dr. Green, introduce yourself as Dr. Green, right? If you want them to call you by your first name, introduce yourself by your first name. So I say, hey, my name's Bruce. I make sales simple. The first thing you want to do is the simplest explanation of your business. The simplest explanation of your business. I've seen this work up to about 11, 13 words. Mine's 4. Yours may not be 4. That's okay. The next thing is the transformation it provides. It should answer the question, why is this important? Why do we care if the sales is simple? So the next part is, let me pause. I'll say the whole thing, break it down. My name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for startup founders and entrepreneurs. I help them hear yes more often while being their authentic selves so they can stop wasting time feeling frustrated on conversations that go nowhere. And they can start turning more conversations into clients. And scene. How long was that? 10 seconds? 15 seconds? It's so important that it's clear, it's concise. Concise doesn't mean short. That means get to the point. No stories about how you know what I'm talking about, the backstories, the character building arcs. No, just tell me what you do. And if they're curious, then they're going to ask for more. All right, so your name, just how you want to be introduced. Don't worry about your titles and accolades and degrees and letters. That's for later. What do you do? A few words. What's the transformation? So for me, that's I'll help you hear yes more often, right? How do we get our ideal client to say yes and work with us faster and easier? That's the concept. It's called sales enablement, but I don't want to put big words in there. I want to keep it clear, and that's where it can be more compelling. So then I say the contrast. Some people call it a problem statement. And I love doing the problem statement training because a lot of people get so caught up on what they do, they forget why it matters and what problem are you solving. So the problem is you're talking to the ideal client, you're wasting time, you're missing money because the conversation doesn't go anywhere. Right? Now you feel frustrated. That's a problem. So if you do want to hear yes more often and you don't want this problem, keep listening. That's the formula. And then the third is we'll reiterate the result of the transformation. So I said, so they can turn more conversations to clients. That's the same thing as help you hear yes more often. That's the same thing. It's different words to express it. So now there's a level of clarity that happens. Like, oh, if I want to get here and I'm here, I can get there. That's it. That's the 5 pieces. Name, what you do, the transformation, the problem, and then reiterate the transformation. So one of 3 things will happen. This is how you know it's a good introduction. They don't have any questions about what they do. They'll ask you like, oh, well, how do you make sales simple? I'm like, hey, I'm glad you asked. That's it. It's curiosity. They want to know more. That's a good introduction. They want to know more. They're going to ask you some questions to dig a little deeper. Not questions of understanding. Where you're like, wait, what does that mean? I had a friend of mine. She works, and I'm not even sure if I understand it. It's psychosomatic therapy. And that's like you got to find another way to express that. Because unless I'm also a mental health professional, I may not know what that is. So somatic is having to do with the body. See, if you have to explain the word for people to get it, that's not the right way to introduce yourself. So we were working on her introduction. And then they'll ask if you can either help them or if they can introduce you. That's how you know you've got something really powerful. The good news is you can tweak it, you can change it. It doesn't have to be perfect every time. Go test it. Go to a networking event. If you're on a Zoom, if it's Instagram post, just test it and just say, hey, people want to learn more. I'm going to keep using this one. If it's not working, try something different. I would say 20 to 30 times with live feedback. So don't just like post it 20 times. 0 likes, 0 comments. That doesn't count. Remember, it has to be a conversation. The introduction has to be what's up. So if they comment, they like, or if you're in person, they say, that's really cool. Why did you start doing that? When did you start doing that? Then you're on the right track. So it's a lot to pack into 10 minutes, which is where I built a workshop around just that. If you're in Atlanta, so I'm going to timestamp this. If you're in Atlanta, I'm teaching this live. Just leave a comment. We'll get you the info. So that you can have an introduction that creates more conversations so you can give yourself a chance to turn more of those conversations into clients. That's it. That's that simple. That's when I say I make sales simple. You're like, oh, my introduction, that's where I need to start. Yeah. We can talk about sales tools and artificial intelligence and automation, but if you can't get a strong introduction, whether it's in person or online, then none of that stuff is going to be useful to you. It's just going to be a bill. It's going to be an expense. It's not generating revenue. So now this makes my job easier to help make your job easier. To make it as simple as possible for you to have an introduction that makes people want to learn more. That's why it's called New Skills, New You. If introducing yourself as a skill, anyone can learn it. So I know one new skill will change your life. It'll change the direction and velocity of your business. I think a lot of people make it way too complicated, trying to sound smart and fancy and charge you more. I want to help you win. I want to help you hear yes more often. And so we're going to do that to helping you craft a strong introduction. An introduction that's it's curiosity, that has clarity, and it's compelling. Right? It moves them to take action. All right. My name is Bruce Hill from New Skills, New You. I believe one new skill will change your life.